Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. If this is your very first time visiting my channel, yay, you're here. You made it. I hope you like what you see and I hope you stay. And I hope you subscribe. So I do movie reviews and trailer reactions, but today it's all about a movie review of the movie called Adverse. This movie opened up in theaters on February 12th, but it won't be available on video on demand until March 9th, 2021. The movie is rated R and it's an hour and 34 minutes. So my goal on Movie Review Mom is to give you a heads up on the filmmaking quality of a film as well as content so that you can make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to spend your time and money watching a specific film. And today's review is, I think, especially important because of the content of this movie. All right, let's dive in. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, some tips for parents, and the biggest tip is kids should not watch this movie. Some themes that are worth talking about, and then I'll finish it up with some movie recommendations for other films that I think that you might also like if you like this one. All right, so in a nutshell, if you enjoy hanging out in the gutter, this is the movie for you. And when I say gutter, I mean all the things that would go and live in the gutter, like drug addicts and drug dealers and prostitutes and stuff like that. Well, anyway, that's kind of what the content of the movie is all about. If you don't enjoy that kind of content, you might want to skip this movie. It's an extremely violent and bloody crime flick written and directed by Brian A. Metcalf, who also plays a role in the film itself. It's received a lot of recognition at various film festivals for being a gritty action psychological thriller. The movie is brought to us by Black Jelly Bean Productions. So you might not like Black Jelly Beans, and you might not like this bloodbath of a movie either. So there's the heads up. It's a rough movie to watch. However, there were some things I did like about the movie, such as the film has a very talented cast. However, the film doesn't take full advantage of them because most of the roles are pretty small, except for Mickey Rourke. His role is much larger. Also starring in the movie are Lou Diamond Phillips, Penelope Ann Miller. I haven't seen her in forever. And Sean Astin. Who doesn't love Sean Astin? Come on. Unfortunately, as I said, a lot of these roles are very small, so we don't really get to see them flourish in these roles, but it's always great to see them. Now, the protagonist of the movie is Thomas Ian Nicholas, and he seems to try his hardest in this role, and he also produced the film. He said that his performance was inspired by Robert De Niro's Oscar-nominated performance in Taxi Driver in 1976. In fact, it's rumored that he forced the entire cast to call him Mr. Bickle during the entire shooting of the film. You definitely feel his character's frustration and rage start to build throughout the film. Thomas Nicholas was actually born in Las Vegas, where I currently live. Later, he grew up in San Jose, near Santa Cruz, where I grew up. It's like our lives are parallel. Later, he moved to Los Angeles, where his mom wanted to pursue her own acting career. And his very first role actually was as an altar boy in a film with his mom. So that's pretty fun. And his mom has got to be really proud of him for making it big into the movies. There's an entertaining and philosophical twist of a few of the characters in the movie that will probably surprise you, actually. There have been several different movie posters to advertise this movie, and they each show kind of a different vibe of the film and what it's going to be like. So my biggest advice is to watch the trailer and see if that looks like something that you want to watch. The film was only shot in 25 days. And like I said, at the beginning of the trailer, it shows all of the awards that this movie has already received on the film festival circuit. So there were some things I didn't like. First of all, acts 1 and 2 are a bit of a slow burn, and you're like, okay, where's this going? But then act 3 is a whirlwind of action. So if you're committed to seeing this movie, keep watching, and then you'll get the payoff in act 3. So Mickey Rourke is in the movie, and in every scene, he looks so feeble and was always drunk or drugged out. And that makes him a great crime boss, but it was just hard to see him age so much and slow down. He used to be so vibrant, and, we're all aging, of course. There's so much fighting and yelling and bad behavior in this movie, which is one of the reasons why it's just not appropriate for kids. This is not a family friendly movie at all. There are also some kind of cringe-worthy acting moments. Sometimes characters are speaking their lines with clenched teeth or kind of just like reciting lines they've memorized. So the acting moments were kind of hit and miss. Some of the dialogue is super stiff, and that results in these stiff acting moments as well. I don't know really why the movie was called Adverse. I think Revenge or Rage would have been better titles to match the content of the film. And if somebody said something about Adverse, I guess I missed it. There's a tire iron action scene full of mayhem that borders on comical because it's so over the top. So on the one hand, you cringe like, seriously? And then on the other hand, you're like, this is awesomely hilarious and crazy. So it just kind of depends on what mood you're in. I think when you watch this movie, how you're going to take this particular sequence of events. Isn't it amazing how we get into strangers' cars to get from point A to point B? Well, the movie highlights the lifestyle of ride sharing, which is an inexpensive option for passengers and an effective side hustle for drivers, but it can also be very risky. So the movie addresses that element as well. There's a love interest for the protagonist in the movie, but we really don't get to learn much about the woman other than she looks like a beautiful Barbie doll. Some viewers are calling this movie part action, part romance, but the romance aspect of the movie is extremely underdeveloped. There are a lot of typical crime tropes built into the movie, and there's definitely no humor. I could think of one moment, and that's it. It is pure drama and action. So now, some tips for parents. As I mentioned, the movie is not recommended for kids of any age, really. There is a lot of profanity and many, many F-bombs. There's smoking, drugs, alcohol, physical abuse, bloody, gory violence. You see dead bodies, portrayal of several murders, a lot of scenes in bars and strip clubs with scantily clad women, guns and knives, portrayal of suicide. There is some Spanish spoken with subtitles. And so if kids were watching this, they would have to read. But don't let your kids watch this. Some of the Spanish is actually rude phrases in Spanish. And so you're not missing anything. And then there's a convict who has to be evaluated as part of his parole. So there are some interesting conversations with his parole officer slash psychologists that I think are kind of interesting and sometimes entertaining. Now, there were plenty of themes that are interesting that the movie illustrated pretty well, such as family, loyalty to family, revenge, loyalty to your drug lord and crime boss, love, controlling your temper, staying out of debt, and not hanging out with sleazy scumbags that are going to get you in trouble, especially if you borrow money from them. That's not a spoiler. Now, there are some interesting lines, and I always write down lines while I'm watching them so I can share them with you. And I also post them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So I'll just share one of them with you right now. And this is actually a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, and it's written on the screen at the very beginning of the movie. I assume to lend some profundity to the film itself. So take it for what it's worth. The line is, there is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. And you see both of those things. All right, so you want to know what movie review mom grade I'm giving this? Well, I gave it a B minus. So there you have it. Let me recommend some other films that I think you might also enjoy. If you like this movie, you absolutely should see Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. There are some very similar elements, so I can absolutely understand why our protagonist got his inspiration from this movie and from Robert De Niro's performance. Another movie that kind of came to my mind is a new movie that's coming out called The Toll. And the reason I thought of it is partly because I had just seen the trailer and did a trailer reaction for that. But it has to do with ride sharing as well. You know, cars that go and cross this toll, and all kinds of horror and mayhem ensue. So you might want to check that one out. All right, that is it for today for my movie review. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, liking it, commenting it, telling your friends about it. That helps that YouTube juice get all over my videos so that they recommend my videos to more people. And I really appreciate your help while I'm trying to grow my channel. And also, be sure and check out my Facebook group called Movie Review Mom. We have tons of fun conversations over there, and you'll also get the heads up whenever I'm posting new content. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoy this movie if you choose to watch it. And until the next one, bye for now.